able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Guess what? There's a huge disconnect between the people, known as Americans, and Washington, D.C., known as the pit, the swamp, the scum, etc. Yeah, we know it. You and I both know there's a huge disconnect. We send people there, all from all across America, to represent us. And what they do is they represent themselves and they bow to the power masters. Unbelievable. And it's also unbelievably dangerous what they're doing and the consequences of their actions. Now, very briefly, in Uvalde, Texas, where the school shooting took place, their police chief is now on administrative leave. Why? For refusing to cooperate with Texas state investigations. The sham is out, folks. You can't get the crap back in the camel's butt. Once it takes a crap, it's out there. Was this cowardice? Was this incompetence? Or was it collusion with criminal intent and political purpose out of Washington, D.C.? Was Biden supposed to protect the scene with federal power through the DHS and the FBI and whatever power structure and media structure was in place? Did that fail? Did it crumble? There's a disconnect there, folks. A huge disconnect. They are pushing this gun legislation, this anti-gun legislation. And have you noticed they quit using the term common sense gun laws? Common sense, because it's not common sense. If it was common sense, we would all see it. I read yesterday what the NRA stated, and though their presentations are rather vanilla, rather weak, they still made the points. But DC is pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, Tucker Carlson just went after him, right? America, folks, knows that the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans have a short time before we reject them at the ballot box and a short time before we have Democrats rioting in the streets, socialist, Antifa, BLM, etc. They have to destroy our America, folks, and their globalist paymasters have demanded it, ordered it be done. Now, Tucker had a nice little quote that we want to probably take a look at. He says, quote, "This level of disconnection in what voters actually want is dangerous and destabilizing. Self-government is what keeps countries calm and stable. Democracy is a pressure relief valve. Don't storm the Bastille, vote. If you take that away or if you strip it from its meaning, people become angry and frustrated. And over time, they become revolutionary. And everyone in Washington knows this. So no wonder they want to disarm you. You can't have guns because they no longer trust you. And they no longer trust you because they know they've betrayed you. This is how democracy dies, not in darkness, but in plain sight, live on C-SPAN." That's what Tucker had to say. There's a couple things in there. Democracy, I guess, voicing your opinion is a relief valve. Right? Now, we have a constitutional republic which protects us from democracy. Now, they've taken away enough of our rights. They've angered us enough that, yes, we are already angry and frustrated. And over time, yes, we've been talking about revolution. We've been talking about secession. Everyone in Washington does know this. And they no longer trust us. They have betrayed us. When vote fraud happens, democracy is dead. When elected representatives don't represent us, democracy is dead. And the only thing left protecting us now is the true form of the Constitution, our republic, our Constitution, and our willingness to defend it by speaking freely. So stop being silent, America. and our Second Amendment rights, which every other nation in the world has all but abandoned, figuratively and literally. We, the people of the United States, have a Second Amendment right. It's a right, right? The law being proposed in Washington is unconstitutional and it should not pass. And the Supreme Court of the United States should toss it out like the turd it is. And if the Supreme Court of the United States fails, we will be a big step closer to secession or outright federal failure. Now, I'm not calling it revolution. I'm calling it federal failure. DC is failing us in trying to install itself as the supreme law of the land. It is not. Washington, D.C. is not the law of the land. The Senate, the House of Representatives, they don't create the laws of the land. That has already been done. It is called the Constitution. They must follow it and operate within its tight, restrictive confines. They have all kinds of authority to deal with foreign countries and war, trade, import, exports. Limitations on taxes are there for them to work within. Coining money, yes. Right? They have their jobs to do. They don't have any right, power, authority to harm us and our Constitution. So this law is unconstitutional, folks. And it is the government that is failing, not the Constitution. It is the government that is failing us, not the people. And we, the people, are under no obligation to follow any law, any rule that violates our sensibilities and our inalienable rights that God alone pronounced. Now, once again, we had the Declaration of Independence, which spoke of our inalienable rights coming from God Almighty. I find that to be a much higher source of authority because it is grounded in morality, fairness, justice. Washington, D.C., when have you seen justice coming out of there? When was the last time you saw morality being portrayed in Washington, D.C.? When was the last time you saw anything good come out of Washington, D.C.? It doesn't. It is a cesspool. It is worse than a swamp. I could see people living in swamps because, well, I do see people living in swamps. They're called, bayous and glades. DC isn't a swamp. That's an insult to swamps. These people are in a putrid, fetid cesspool, and they're up to their necks in it. DC and America are completely disconnected at this point. The states don't need them. We don't. The states don't need Washington, D.C. What is it? It collects taxes, and it offers burdens and regulations and red tape and trouble. Every state has its own source of productivity, revenue, and income, and they should pursue to those ends their own self-interests. It wouldn't hurt my feelings at all if the states said, no more Washington, D.C. We don't need you. We can handle our own environmental issues. We can handle our own taxation. We can handle our own currency. Currency. I think that should be taken from the federal government. They already gave it away to the Federal Reserve, but enough on that. Back to guns. Back to the Second Amendment. I am not saying anything violent or harmful or dangerous should happen. No laws or rules violated. But maintain and understand that you folks are the sensibility. You are the authority of the United States of America. And we need to voice loudly our objection to what's going on. And don't hand over a single item they demand. Red flag laws, you will be calling your sheriff's department and saying, I sure hope you guys aren't planning on enforcing this. Because if you are, you're going to get a whole lot of trouble for it. Because the Democrats are going to use these red flag laws to call the police and complain about people that they don't agree with politically. It is all politicized now. Medication, medicine, healthcare, politicized. Thank you, Dr. Fauci, for pointing that out. showing us how it's all politicized. The legal system is politicized. It is not fair, impartial, or blind. It's politicized. Everything is politicized now. And so why should we not as well look at everything through that very jaundiced eye and see them for what they are? Chance favors the prepared mind. Thank you for supporting this channel through Subscribestar. It is because of you folks that we are continuing to grow and expand. And without your support, it doesn't happen. With your support, we can be very powerful and we can be a very loud voice. I'll talk to you very soon. God bless America. Us, the people, not DC. God bless America. And Semper Fi.